I want to share with you two conversations. The words when writing have not come easy, nor the way to articulate them freely, for these conversations are rooted in my identity. I am a man. Seems a pretty simple thing to say. After all, I've been one every single day from the moment I was born till the day my final breath is drawn, and yet I will never forget these two conversations and how they've had so many implications surrounding who and what I am. I am a man. The first conversation begins between man and father. I apologise for how cliched that sounds, and please know that I would rather speak on another matter, but I suppose cliches are cliches for a reason. The conversation starts young, well before self-introspection can ever have begun. We are told that for boys to be boys, they must follow a certain set of rules and ploys. To begin with, they're centred on our toys. Boys must play with manly things. Action men in Star Wars, meaning I had a concept of violence since before I was 4. Planning and scheming how to kill the enemy, being told that violence and death is fun, is how boys are supposed to be. Conversation continues into my younger years. I remember coming home from school in tears because I got in a fight and lost, to which my father quickly accosted me to say, did you smack him one back? Did you give him a 1-2 crack across his face? So that his parenting can never lose face of raising a weak, wet whelp, ignoring the tears streaming down his son's face. Conversation continues into my teenage years, a time full of social anxiety and fears that I must confess are still present. I remember thinking, should I go to my dad for help? Because I really don't want him to have raised the whelp, but the silence was suffocating, and the feelings of wanting to die was something that I should hide. And I was proved right. When I took it to Dad, he said, don't talk about it. Don't make people feel uncomfortable. That'd be awful to display what you actually want to say. To let people into your madness or head full of despair, centered on demeaning trivial things like what to wear or whether or not people like the style of your hair, to desperate things like that life itself seems so empty. And I'm sorry, Dad, because I'm not at all manly. I don't even know what a man is, frankly. I like to write, not fight. I'm emotionally sensitive, not manliness and body representative. And yes, Dad, I cry regularly. And no, Dad, I don't know why. And yes, Dad, I moisturise. And no, Dad, I don't know why, but I'm pretty sure I don't want my skin to be cracked and dry. The next conversation is between man and society. For this part, I'm going to drop the syncopated A-A-B-B rhyme scheme. And I'm sorry if that seems odd. But there is no rationality behind society's view of masculinity. It is just contradictory bard and insanity. Let me illustrate. To be a man, you must not put too much effort into your appearance, yet your teeth, hair, beard and clothes must always be immaculate. You must talk about other women with men as complete objects, but with women themselves feign respectful conversation to prove that you are different to them. Every man must be willing and able to fight at a moment's notice, yet be educated enough to know that violence is never the answer. You must never ever cry, unless it's from laughter. You see, there's such an agenda. Youthful people clamoring on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram, living their identity through their friends, followers and fans, using beautiful pictures of their beautiful faces with witty quotes to caption black and white visited places, each one of them creating their own beauty. All of them ignorant of their own superfluity. Their looks will fade. Along with their social media parade, vivacious will become fallacious, youth uncouth and pretty pity. And on top of that, we have a whole male generation taught sex education by porn. The women are simply there to fawn over like objects on a shelf. We have no respect for self, except for the self we see in a mirror. So where does this leave us? Who can we learn from? For I'm not a man, if I'm going by that description. But there is one man, a perfect man, the manliness of all men that we can learn from. And let me tell you about it. And he cried at the death of his friend. He was angry beyond what we can comprehend. He was hungry, starving for days on end, and he was anxious until sweat drops of blood streaked his face, and he was intimate whilst respecting his women's space, and he was lonely as the father turned his face away, and he was satisfied when he saw there was nothing left to pay, because he was an man who spread his arms wide, and on that cross he died so that I can call him mine. And this is what manliness is. A lonely man on a lonely hill, under whose grace my soul is still.